All right, it's time for the episode after the first episode, but before the first real episode.
What do you call that? I'm not sure.
The post first episode Eve episode.
Great. Glad you have a name for it. Let's get into that.
Before we jump into today's show, I wanted to ask you to check out our website, brand new website, marriagebydesignpodcast.com. That's marriagebydesignpodcast.com. All of our episodes are available there on that website. Love to have you pop over there, follow us there, and check it out.
If you have a topic that you're wanting more information on or you have questions about, you can search on our website by topic, which is a really great feature.
That's right. And more than anything, guys, please share this with someone that would find it meaningful for them. Without any more delay, let's get to the show. Hi, everybody. I'm Nathan Warnock.
I'm Andrea Warnock, and you've joined us for Marriage by Design podcast, a time where we talk about God's design for marriage, what the Bible has to say about that, and how we live that out practically. I wasn't sure if I remembered that.
I'm actually pretty impressed. Yeah, so this is season 6. Now, if you're wondering why it's called season 6, it's because this is the 6th year we've been doing this podcast. And so as we think about this,
it's hard to believe.
I've got the right here in my hot little hand. This is my phone. But what's on my phone is the working document that Andrea and I spent time this summer putting together that maps out season 6. And so what we wanted to do today is just give y'all a little preview of a number of the different episodes that we're planning on doing in season 6 and kind of what we're excited about doing from a specific episode standpoint. Now, just a couple notes on this. First of all, we try to be really available if you, the Marriage by Design community, has something where you go, man, I'd really love to hear an episode on X, Y, or Z.
Something.
You're welcome to email us, marriagebydesignpodcast@gmail.com, or you can comment on our YouTube page, comment on our Facebook page, reach out to us through our website, marriagebydesignpodcast.com, or any other number of ways that you can reach out to us, all the socials. So feel free to shoot us a message if you have a question, if there's something that you're struggling with. And we've done this multiple times over particularly the last couple of seasons as our viewership has grown. Folks that just had questions, something they were dealing with, a bad situation in their marriage or with their kids or something like that. And we've tried to sort of push everything back and deal with that question as quickly as we possibly can so that they can get answers to the things that are going on. So please feel free, if you have questions, to shoot us over those questions. But other than that, we have a whole number of topics that we're looking to talk about here in season 6. So I'm going to just pop through a few of them, and babe, you tell us as you know what we're going to be thinking about when we're thinking about these things. Does that seem fair?
If I'm thinking about anything, sure.
Got it. Okay. So first things first, when we ended season 5, we promised a 2-part episode celebrating Andrea as a mother and kind of picking her brain about what it's like to be a mom.
Well, the end of season 5 was right around
Mother's Day. Yep,
so
as it generally is. So we started doing that episode. It kind of got late in the evening, and so we promised a second episode, and that episode never happened. So I've heard from at least 2 women. Right. I've heard from at least 2 women hey, we were promised a second half of this Mother's Day episode. What the heck's wrong with you guys? So first thing we're doing, we're going to do it next week, the second half of the Mother's Day. It's half Mother's Day episode. That's what we're going to do. The second half of our Mother's Day episode. So we're going to do that. Then we're going to take some time and do a series we call Back to the Basics, right? So if you're new to our podcast and you're going, man, what is God's design for marriage? Like, what does that really even mean? We want to go back to the heart of marriage, God's heart for marriage. So we want to do a few episodes, one on God's authority on marriage, God's design for marriage, and then our calling to marriage. So we're going to dig into that
Yeah, I
a
mean,
bit.
it's been 6 years since we did that.
That's right.
Gosh, that's hard to believe.
That's right. Then we're going to have an episode about how to talk to your kids about sex. We have a 15-year-old that we have spoken with when he was 9 about sex and beginning to set that up in his mind. We are currently going through that kind of discussion process with our daughter who's 10 and speaking with her a little bit as well about this. So we've learned some things with regards to speaking to our kids about sex, and we want to share those things along with y'all. And certainly if you have tips or thoughts on those, love you to comment for the benefit of the community on that as well.
Yep.
Then we're going to do an interesting episode called Don't Give Up Before Day 41.
Yeah,
So
a few weeks
what
after
does
that,
that mean, babe?
So I was reading something about how I'm going to have to go back and read it. So it's not like fresh on my brain right now, but how so many people give up before the 41st day. And in the Bible, so many people give up too early on things that
On God.
the Lord has called us to,
Right.
important things.
Right.
Sorry, as I'm talking through this, I'm remembering what it's about. And there are so many examples in the Bible that are 40 days long, or 40 years or whatever. Noah and the ark, he was in the ark for 40 days and then it stopped raining on the first day.
Yep. 40 years in the wilderness for the Israelites.
The Israelites wandered for
You're right.
40 years. There's several things in the Bible that happen for some span of time of 40, and just that the importance of doing what God asks us to do for as long as he asks us to do it and not giving up before his timing.
Right.
So it's all about his timing. And in the context of marriage, so often we're required, and I don't just mean gritting it through a marriage that's bad, but anything that God asks us to do in marriage.
Right.
So often it's like we're so selfish that we just want to give up on the hard things. And, God's asking us to get through that for his glory.
Really fascinating in Matthew, because I've been studying Matthew with my Bible study guys. And there's a couple of parables that Jesus gives that seem to indicate that our persistence with the Lord can actually change his mind with regards to working
I know, yeah.
in our lives.
That's
And which is
something I
kind of
just
a
don't
weird,
understand.
because God's sovereign and he's all knowing, but he has these analogies of like a neighbor where if you go to a neighbor in the middle of the night, they're going to tell you, hey, I just woke up, go away. But if you keep banging on the door, they're going to give you what you want because of your persistence. And it's told in a positive way in these parables. So fascinating. So it's not necessarily, this isn't a numerology thing,
we see
right?
examples
That it's
in
like
the Bible too of God seemingly changing his mind
Sure.
because of persistence in prayer.
right, but you're so right. That's right. But you're not saying this is like a magic to the number of 41.
Yeah, no.
Right. This is more generally about
That was
persistence.
just a tagline.
Yeah,
Right.
Love it. Okay. Then we want to talk about consumerism in marriage. This idea of I want it now. I want to be served. I want, I have a right to this thing. Just the idea of coming into marriage or being in marriage with a consumer attitude. Then we're going to take some time in December. Andrea and I will celebrate, Lord willing, our 20th anniversary,
That's hard to believe.
which is hard to believe, particularly I'm looking in the monitor here at how young we look.
You maybe.
T-
Man, I'm looking old lately.
So 20 years, you're beautiful. 20 years we celebrate in December. So we're going to do a short series on the story of our marriage from 2005 to 2012, and then 2012 up to now, and then just sort of a retrospective on things we're thankful for all God's done in our marriage. So we'll do that in December. We'll send out the Christmas card via video. That'll be one of the episodes in December. Then we want to do kind of a couple fun top five moments from this year, top 5 things we're looking forward to in 2026. And then we want to start digging in a bit in the dog days of winter into some real deep heart issues. So things like pornography. Pornography is not the problem. That's a heart problem. Do you have a heart for marriage? A true heart for marriage, or are you trying to just be good in your marriage via behavior modification? What do we think about things like Jesus or the gospel plus therapy? Like, do we think that's where does that fall in our marriage priorities? Where should it fall according to the Bible? Then we're going to do an episode. We want to do an episode about called "Don't Trade Your Blessing for a Bowl of Soup." As you probably know, if you've studied the Old Testament, a play on the story of Jacob and Esau. And what do you remember, babe? What you were thinking about there? You said, "Don't starve your marriage."
Right. Yeah. So the idea just being, both of you investing in your marriage so that you're not given to temptation. And I'm not just talking sexually.
Although certainly includes that.
Of course. But so that you're not given to temptation and willing to trade the Lord's blessing for that goes on for your life and for a legacy. Don't be willing to trade that in the moment for something trivial.
Love it. I can't wait to talk about that. That's going to be great. Then I want to challenge Christians a little bit. We recently, a couple of years ago, joined a church that believes in strong liturgy, right? Which for those of you who have strong liturgy in your churches, it's this, it's a very structured kind of, we do a confession as a church. We say the Lord's Prayer together. There's a structure to our worship. And Andrea and I have found that to be a beautiful thing. It's very reverent before the Lord, the way that our church does it. And we really relish that reverence and that sort of communal worship of the Lord through the liturgy. We certainly, Andrea and I, come from Baptist and evangelical backgrounds where we did not grow up with any of that sort of liturgical element. And
not that either are right or wrong, by the way.
No, which is not even the point of this episode. The point of this episode is we're calling it When Liturgy Becomes a Substitute for Intimacy. Liturgy is simply just those patterns that we create, right? It's a liturgy in church because we do this, and then we do this, and then we do this, and then we do this, and we do that time over time over time over time. Undoubtedly, you have liturgies in your marriage and in your family. The question is, these liturgies, do you do them out of intimacy or do you do them in substitute of intimacy? And I want to talk just a little bit about that when we get into the beginning of next year. Okay, then we want to talk a bit about what does it mean to be a godly husband and lead as a strong male figure in your family. And then, of course, what does it mean to be a godly wife and gracefully submit to your husband? Both tricky topics, lots of challenge there that we need to process through and encourage and exhort as needed. Then what we have to deal with past sins and hurts and bitternesses. We want to talk about that as we do pretty much every season on Marriage by Design, but it's important enough to keep coming back to it again and again and again. Then a couple final things, is certainly not everything, but a couple final things. Why should we pray? Talk a little bit about that. Therapists are not pastors. That kind of comes back to that Jesus and therapy. And, when we talk about therapy on this channel, oftentimes, if you've listened to us for a long time, if you go back and listen, we can easily come across as anti-psychologist, anti-therapist, anti-professional counseling. I do not believe that counseling, therapy, and psychology are evil. I don't believe that they're sinful in and of themselves. I do believe that we have created a culture in the United States and in the West that is obsessed with therapy.
Yeah,
Whether it's professional or whether it's these 6 rooms we have in our office that you can just go in and sit quietly because you need to have a wellness moment. Like, we have created a situation in this country where we are obsessed with the wellness of people. And yet I don't think you have to look around very hard before you would have to come to the realization that we've never been mentally sicker.
I was going to say, we're the
than
most
we are
mentally unwell.
So what's wrong?
We're replacing therapy with Jesus. I mean, we're replacing Jesus for therapy.
That's right.
Right.
And even within Christian communities and Christian marriages, I think we need to stop and we need to just hear it for what it is. So I'm not saying if you go to a therapist, that's a sin. Please don't mishear me. What I am saying is we need to go back to what God calls as rightful priorities, and we need to be honest about what it is we're trying to do when we engage in mental wellness in whatever way that looks like in your life. And it's not just therapists, by the way. There are tons of checked out husbands who are using video games as a form of wellness therapy, and it's wrecking their families, right? So this is not just a therapy thing. It's just that seems to be front and center, even within the church, of, hey, things aren't going well. Let's get you connected with a Christian therapist. And I would caution Christians to be careful to throw themselves into that without thinking really critically about what the Lord would have to say about that. Don't ruin your message with your mess. This is a good one. Andrea says one I'm occasionally are not very good at, and that is this idea that, man, our tone, the way we speak to our spouse, is oftentimes way more determinant on whether we grow or shrink in relationship with our spouse than what we actually say. Right. Building non-sexual intimacy. We're going to talk about that. Then we're going to talk about don't wait until retirement to do the big things, as well as take a look at what God says about the status of Bathsheba and Uriah's marriage way after Bathsheba and Uriah's marriage physically on earth ended. So I can't wait to get into that. One of the most fascinating things. So those are just a smattering of topics that we're going to talk about this coming season. I'm super excited about it. Is there any one of those, babe, that you're like, I can't wait to get into this?
Not off the top of my head. I mean, I'm always, I think said this last week. I'm always excited to have a new season and, have it laid out.
Yeah.
This podcast challenges Nathan's in my marriage.
No doubt.
A lot.
Yep.
Because we're looking into what the Bible has to say a lot about marriage and all sorts of things. And so it really challenges us, and it really, of course it helps our marriage. And sometimes it's a stumbling block in our marriage too, because we come upon something that we have to deal with. And not in a bad way long term, but bad in the moment maybe.
Just things we disagree on.
It makes our marriage better. Yeah, there's still things we disagree on, of course, in the Bible and marriage and all that. Anyway, it's good to get into it, and it's good to research all these things and talk about them, and it makes us better people and a better married couple. So
I agree.
I'm excited to celebrate 20 years. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's probably the thing I'm looking forward to the most. I think so.
That's your thing?
Well, and we haven't really told our story other than little bits and pieces here and there. Like, we haven't really, there's on our channel, if you go way back to the beginning on YouTube, because that's the only place it was at the time, we tell our story, the ugliness of the 2005 to 2012. I'm kind of excited now, 6 years later, to go back through that again, and just, because we have a ton of followers on YouTube who weren't with us.
Yeah,
in season 1.
Sure.
And so to just be able to share, like, hey, this is what God did. I mean, it's never pleasant to share that. It's embarrassing and it's not fun, but it's good I think, to get that story out
Yeah.
there so that people can realize, hey, there's no broken with God.
Right.
There's just submitted or rebellious
Yeah.
with regards to the people.
Yeah. It'll be good to celebrate. That 20 years is crazy. So that'll
Yeah,
be
it is.
fun to do all that.
20 years of marriage and we're only 28 years old. Incredible.
That's gross.
All right.
It's weird.
So that's what we have. That's what we have coming up. So in a week, Mother's Day episode, part 2. Just pretend like it's May, and we're getting this episode right out to you. So looking forward to that. Can't wait to move forward with you guys into season 6. If you have questions, comments, things you want to hear, shoot them over to us. Otherwise, until next Monday, remember, God is for your marriage.
Thanks so much for listening. We just wanted to say, if you have a comment, a question, something that you're struggling with or need prayer, please reach out to us. You can get a hold of us by emailing marriagebydesignpodcast@gmail.com, or of course you can comment on any of our social media and we will get back to you. But if you have something private, feel free to email us. We're personally respond to you.
That's right. And we do respond to every comment that we receive, either through our website, through YouTube, through our social medias, which leads me to feel free to pop over to our website, marriagebydesignpodcast.com. You can leave comments on any of our videos through that site. We would love to be able to connect with you, but please don't hesitate to reach out. Even if you just need prayer, you need someone to hear what you're going through, we're here for the Marriage by Design community, so feel free to reach out anytime. Until then, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We'll talk to you next time.